Welcome to the Without the Bank podcast, where you and I are going to talk about all things IBC, the business of banking, utilizing money correctly, and how this will help you grow your business and your wealth. All right, folks, you know I don't like super long introductions, but I do ask very quickly, if you are enjoying this podcast, please leave a review and share it. I would very much appreciate that. Okay, I think it is time to break down the book, Becoming Your Own Banker. Yes, I have the book, Life Without the Bank. That book, if you guys haven't already got the point, that book was derived from Nelson Nash's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. Life Without the Bank is not meant to replace Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. It is a complement to his book. So, if you are getting Life Without the Bank, please get Becoming Your Own Banker as well. If you get them on withoutthebank.com, you can get them as a bundle. And I highly suggest that. A lot of people are reading Life Without the Bank first, and then they go into Becoming Your Own Banker. Because most of the time, we are not told about finance. It is something very foreign, something very new. And I wrote Life Without the Bank at a very basic level for the person that is not educated in finance. Okay? It is not it breaks everything down and just makes it easy. Because that's just how I am. My brain is very simple. I'm very simple. And so I want everybody to be able to understand this because finance is not hard. It's not hard. So you might want to read Life Without the Bank and then read Becoming Your Own Banker. But as I do in my other podcast, Farming Without the Bank, I really want to break down Becoming Your Own Banker and go through some chapter reviews because it is very important to understand the concept of what we are talking about. And even though I go over IBC in my book, I don't go over it to the extent Nelson does. And it is a concept. And you guys hear me talk about it all the time. And I'll probably, go out on my deathbed saying life insurance is the tool to the concept. But it is the tool to the concept. And so let's go over the introduction of Nelson's book. And this is funny because I've done a book review of this and a book study, I should say, of Becoming Your Own Banker. And every single time I read the introduction, for many years I skipped over the introduction. I'm going to be straight up honest here. Yes, I am an IBC practitioner, but I tend to skip over introductions of every single book because I don't feel that they are necessary and it's just extra wasted time. However, the introduction of Nelson's book is super important. It is probably the most important thing he has in this book, along with one of the last pages of the book. And so really, when you get this book, please, please, please do not skip the introduction. But we're going to go over it today, my friends. And we are going to talk about what is infinite banking and really outline what Nelson's intentions are here. And he starts out by saying, the infinite banking concept is a text for a 10-hour course of instruction about the power of dividend-paying whole life insurance. It is not a sales tool for life insurance agents. It is a 10-hour course. When Nelson was with us, he did 10-hour courses. Yes, more than one day. You would sit and listen to Nelson teach the infinite banking concept. He would basically break this book down in chapters, and that's what he would teach. 10 hours. So many people say, well, Mary Jo, give me the Cliff Notes of IBC. It's a 10-hour course, and you want to have the Cliff Notes and think that you're going to know everything, and you're going to be able to just go on your way? People think that they're going to be able to read Life Without the Bank, and they're just going to be able to go on their way. and go get a life insurance policy and live happily ever after. This is a 10-hour course, which almost every single infinite banking practitioner has sat through. And yet we still talk amongst ourselves. We're still working ourselves where there's always things to solve, things to look at, things to consider. And we eat, sleep, and breathe it as practitioners. And so think about that. 10 hours. You're not going to know everything that you need to know by the time you're done reading Nelson's book. You're not going to know everything by the time you're done reading Life Without the Bank. That is why you need us to help you. But he says it is education that the life insurance company should have taught during the last 200 years. Unfortunately, the industry has concentrated on the death benefit qualities and neglected to adequately describe the financing capabilities for the policy owners. Isn't that the truth? People say all the time, well, Mary Jo, why haven't I heard of this? This is some kind of, get rich quick scheme because I haven't heard of this. No. Insurance has been around for 200 years. We've neglected to look at the finance capabilities of it. And life insurance companies have done a really good job of teaching people how to be salesmen, right? We're just going to sell you something, let you go, hope you continue to pay the premium, and never tell you what you have. That is very sad, folks. I see this all the time, where people come and they're like, I didn't even know I had cash value until I read your book. I didn't even know what that was. I have permanent life insurance. I didn't even know I had cash value. No clue. Because why? Somebody sold them something for death benefit instead of teaching them the benefits of what they can have. Most life insurance salesmen are salesmen, right? They're not there to teach you something. And so it always irritates me just a little bit when people lump me in that arena. Oh, she's just selling life insurance. Well, for the pity's sake, yes, of course I'm selling life insurance. For the fact of finance, for the fact of the infinite banking concept. And if we can't get past that, you might want to move along. This book demonstrates that your need for finance during your lifetime is much greater than your need for protection. Nelson said to a colleague of mine, how many times you die? Well, once, Nelson. Well, you finance something every single day, which is very true. We need protection for death benefit, but our need for finance is huge. And what are we doing? We keep going to the bank. And I don't care if you're going to the bank for your savings account or you're going to the bank to borrow money. We keep going to the bank more than once, right? So death benefit is there. And when we set a policy up for infinite banking, 9 out of 10 times I will set a policy up and they have more death benefit than they had when they came to see me. More death benefit. We never replace for less. People don't leave with less. But their IBC policy is typically more than what they ever had to begin with. He also says, the fact that the principles have been here all along and no one taught them makes me rather angry. Someone should have recognized them and taught them long ago, but this didn't take place because of the mindset that predominates the entire financial world. When you really think about it, people say, well, you're trying to take advantage of me. Infinite banking is a scam, and you're just trying to take advantage of people and sell them life insurance and make commission. Instead of us being angry, we should be angry that this was not taught to us. And we should be asking the question of why wasn't this taught to us? If this has been around for 200 years, what happened? And I do believe in one of my other podcasts, I talk about this, that traditional finance is not 401ks and IRAs. Those are new. Those have been around for about 47 years at the time of this recording. They started in 1974. Those are new. Life insurance is 200 years old. Where were pensions put? What were people doing? We are calling today's retirement planning and financial tools traditional. That's not traditional. Traditional is whole life insurance. And we should be angry that we haven't heard about it. Instead of being so quick to jump to a conclusion that somebody is trying to screw us over and take advantage of us, which then we put the blinders on and we can't even see the opportunities in front of us, right? Just because everybody's doing something doesn't mean that that is correct. If we want to do both, why not do both? Okay, that is a whole nother podcast. He said, this is written for the layman, not the financial advisors, but all life insurance agents should be thoroughly knowledgeable of its content and practice. And the concept is written for the layman. Nelson was a very smart man, and I consider myself a layman, and I didn't quite get his book right away. So therefore, Life Without the Bank exists, like I just talked about. But it is a little bit more of a challenging read, or it was for me, because I didn't know anything about life insurance. Zero, zilch, o. And it took me some time to really be able to grasp it and people explaining it to me, because I had no experience of the financial world. I had no experience of life insurance. I was a property and casualty agent prior to being an infinite banking practitioner. And so it doesn't mean that you can't learn anything. It just means that make it simple. Just keep it simple. For heaven's sakes, Mary Jo is a very simple person. And it was a little bit harder. So when he says it's for the layman, what he means is this concept is for the you and me level. This concept is for you and I. It is not meant for financial advisors to use some sort of fancy stuff, right? It is meant for you and I to be using this every single day, using it to buy things, which he actually continues on and says, the whole idea is to recapture the interest that one is paying to the banks and finance companies for major items that they need during their lifetime, such as automobiles, appliances, education, homes, investment opportunities, business equipment, yada, yada, yada. Okay. For major purchases, this is where IBC gets a little bit fuzzy. People say, well, I want to, put all my living expenses on there. I want to run all my money through. Okay, maybe at some point you can do that. But the concept was set for major purchases to recapture the interest on those. Let's start there, because that's going to be an easy place to start. Are we going to buy a home? Are we going to buy a vehicle? Are we going to start a business? Do we need equipment for the business? Do we need, tools and vehicles and buildings and all these other things that we're going to need for businesses? This book is not about investments of any kind. It's about how one finances the things in life, which can certainly include investments. It's not about a rate of return. Interest rates are up and interest rates are down, but the process of banking goes on no matter what is happening. It is well known that banks make more money when interest rates are low than when interest rates are high. That's one paragraph, you guys. One paragraph. And I could break that down for probably an hour. But it is not about investments. This drives me crazy. Life insurance is not an investment. Stop comparing it to an investment. It's not about a rate of return. It is about liquidity control and guarantees, right? It's about having liquid money today to do whatever it is that we need to do. It is about a process of banking, taking control of that process during your lifetime. It is not a procedure to get rich quick. On the contrary, it requires long-range planning. I always think that this is a little bit funny and ironic because people are like, oh, it's a get-rich-quick scheme. And then they're like, how fast can I have access to my money? Whoa. You don't want it to be a get-rich-quick scheme, but in the same breath, well, I don't have access to all my money. I want to get rich quick. Okay, what do you want? This is long-term thinking. We are thinking from now until death. We are possibly thinking, depending on what you're doing, generational. When I work with my farmers, I am talking generational. When I work with business owners that have a family-owned business, we are talking generational, right? If it's just you wanting to create some sort of a retirement plan, you may not think generational, which I don't know why you wouldn't. That doesn't mean that you can't just because you don't have a business. Most people just don't think that way. But the life insurance part of it is creating generational wealth, or we're setting up family banking systems so that the family doesn't need to go to the local bank. Why don't they come to the family bank? Right? We have to have things in order so that people don't just get to borrow money and never pay it back if they're in the family. I mean, we have to think like a banker because this whole concept is us taking control of that banking system. It is also not a tax qualified idea of any sort. The income tax law, as we know it today, has only been around since 1913. Life insurance has been around for over 200 years. It is not a creature of any tax code. It existed before the tax codes existed. So people always say, well, it's a way to take advantage of taxes. It existed before taxes. It is nothing more than like-minded people contracting with one another to solve a financial problem. It is a contract between myself and the life insurance company. It is not a contract between the government and the life insurance company and myself. It is a contract between two private individuals. And the tax code says that death benefit comes to heirs income tax free. There is also no such thing as having too much money in the bank. Wealth must reside somewhere. What better place than to reside in a whole life insurance policy? From this residence, one can do anything that one can conceive. This is an advantage that most folks ignore in their thought process and therefore limit their effectiveness. That is huge. Huge. Wealth must reside somewhere. So we can put it in a bank, we can put it in a 401k, we can put it in an IRA, we can put it in a Roth, we can put it into our mortgage, right? Wealth has to sit somewhere. The problem is most places do not leave that money liquid for us to use. From this residence, one can do anything that one can conceive. Why? Because it's liquid. If we want to start a business, we can start a business. If we want to expand a business, we can expand a business. If we want to give to a nonprofit, we can give to a nonprofit. If we want to lend money privately to other individuals, we can do that with this money. This is the advantage that most folks ignore. Why? Because they're so concerned about a rate of return that they forget about why they should be using the whole life insurance policy or how they can use the whole life insurance policy. They forget to look into the future because everything that we are doing today is so short term. That's what we want. What did Nelson say? This is long-range thinking. If we are going to study this concept, and I'm going to go through the rest of his chapters, not today, podcast by podcast, so you truly understand the concept and stop wondering about what is the rate of return. Oh, I'm going to use it as a savings account. Why would you use it as a savings account? One can do anything that one can conceive. We stop dreaming with today's financial tools because they're not liquid. The money's not there to be used. So we can't dream about all the things we would want to do because we don't have the money to do it. It is the or asset, right? The infinite banking concept is a major paradigm shift for most folks. It will require several thorough readings for a full understanding of its message. The concept is not complicated. It is just different from the way the majority thinks and behaves. In fact, it is ultimate in simplicity. True, and true. It is a huge paradigm shift. And it didn't take me very long to make that paradigm shift. In fact, it took me a couple weeks. It took me enough time to realize, oh my gosh, this is real. People do this with life insurance. Holy moly, how come I didn't know about it? But the paradigm shift is hard for those that are super educated in rates of return. The paradigm shift is hard because we want to know exactly what we're making. And we forget about the fact that one can do what one can conceive. Because we're not conceiving anything. We're not thinking, we're not dreaming about what we can do with that liquid money because it's an and asset. It will require several thorough readings. You guys, I've read this book a bazillion times. And I still learn something every single time. In fact, I read this introduction again before I recorded this podcast, and I highlighted more than I had highlighted before. 11 years at this point of teaching this concept, and I am still constantly learning things. That's never going to stop. But it is very different from how most people think or most people behave in today's world. It is very normal for how people used to think and used to behave. If you talk to somebody in their 80s, you're going to talk to somebody that has had whole life insurance and how awesome they think it is. They will share that with you. If they've had whole life, not universal, not variable, not indexed. It's truly important to continue to educate, to continue to listen to the podcasts and learn about what it is that you're doing or what this is instead of just saying, oh, this is a bunch of crap. Because guess what? I hear that all the time. Well, this is a bunch of crap. The other day I was told that I wear a tin hat and I am a blah, blah, blah idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about. Yada, 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 yada. Why? Because some keyboard warrior saw an ad on Facebook and decided to comment without actually ever reading Nelson's book, without learning about the concept. That is why. Because people don't want to think. People want easy. This isn't complicated, but it takes time to learn it. It takes time to implement it. They don't want a get-rich-quick scheme, but they want to get rich quick. Nobody's getting rich in their 401ks and IRAs, yet we don't question that, right? It's all what the noise has told us. And so as we go through Nelson's book, as we study, and it's not going to probably be every single chapter in order. I'll throw some other stuff in between there. But as we go through Nelson's book and as we study, keep these things in mind and come back to this introduction if you need to, as a kind reminder of what the infinite banking concept is and what it is not. Because what it is a thought process, an opportunity for you to recapture some interest, how to correctly use life insurance policies, cash value of life insurance policies. What it is not is rate of return. It is not a sales tool. So please come back to this, visit this, so that it can help you take the next step. Read Life Without the Bank. Read Becoming Your Own Banker. Schedule your appointment so that we can talk about what is it that is going to help you. Where do you start? What are you doing? How do we need to help you change your thought processes? Because those are all the things that I am going to help you with. Even existing clients, we are constantly helping them change their thought process because it is not easy to make the paradigm shift for some people. Other people, it's very easy. Not everybody. So you need somebody on your side to help you with that. Go to withoutthebank.com, grab your book. Once you have the book, you should be getting an email with a link to my calendar. If you are not getting emails with chapter studies and links to my calendar, then you need to check your spam or give us a call, and we would be happy to help you make an appointment. It is of no charge to you. It is just to see what you have going on. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but how are you going to know unless we sit down and visit? And let me tell you, I love to visit with all of you. It doesn't matter what you have going on. I'm always genuinely curious to hear what people are doing. So let me know if you need anything from me, Mary Jo at withoutthebank.com. I am happy to answer any questions. I am happy to talk about any subjects you want talked about. You just let me know what they are. And until the next podcast, you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.